Imagine this for a second. You're sitting across from a major record label exec, and they slide a contract across the desk. It's an advance for $400,000. For most artists, that is absolutely life-changing money. Would you take that massive check for your music rights right now? Just grab the pen and sign on the dotted line?
Well, what if I told you that by really understanding leverage, one artist recently looked at that exact initial offer, politely walked away, and strategically negotiated a cool $1 million deal instead? And the crazy part? They didn't just get way more money, they actually managed to keep their most valuable assets in the process.
So let's dive into exactly how that happens. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're laying out the definitive blueprint to surviving and totally thriving in the modern music business. We're going to translate real-world legal and business frameworks into a step-by-step roadmap that'll take you from your very first track release all the way to building a bulletproof financial empire. Here is our game plan for today. We'll start with the stages of success, then we'll look at the power of relationships, how to go about protecting your art, the mechanics of the business triangle, and finally, your legal and financial structure. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the stages of success, where we build that foundation. Long-term success doesn't just happen by throwing songs at the wall and praying something sticks. You need a rock-solid structured framework. Enter the 3 Ps. First, you've got your product. But remember, your product isn't just the music. It's the music completely intertwined with your brand. Second is your plan, which absolutely must have measurable goals and a focused release strategy. And third, permissions. These are the contracts and licenses that basically stop lawsuits in their tracks and ensure you legally own the stuff you're trying to sell. Now, it is so easy to mix up branding with advertising, and a lot of artists focus way too much on the advertising part. They just want to get seen, right? But think about it. If your branding is bad, getting seen just means everyone knows you're the worst. It's a disaster. Your marketing and your public perception have to work together perfectly. Good advertising paired with incredible branding, that ensures everyone knows you are the absolute best at what you do. And a huge part of that marketing plan is knowing exactly where to put your energy. Finding the right audience geography is literally a game changer. For instance, a stream in the US market can pay 4 to 8 times more than a stream in Latin America. Why? Higher advertising rates and premium subscription costs. It is the exact same song, but the financial payout is wildly different, depending entirely on where your listeners are actually sitting. Moving right along to Section 2, the power of relationships, or as I like to call it, the human element. Because let's be real, beyond all the streaming numbers and data, this industry runs entirely on networking and human relationships. But, and this is crucial, it doesn't happen overnight. Take music executive Dalia Cerezo. Her timeline is proof that success takes immense patience and cultural understanding. She started out doing the unglamorous stuff, unpaid internships, volunteering at festivals in Mexico. But that intense hustle eventually led to managing digital operations, which built the reputation that landed her major executive roles at SiriusXM in downtown in New York. You've got to be willing to do the behind-the-scenes work.
Hey, even with all the networking in the world, we have to ground ourselves in this poignant truth from hit producer Dirty. Without songs, there is no industry. It's that simple. Before you start obsessing over complex business mechanics or label deals, your art has to be undeniably great. The song is literally the fuel for the entire machine.
So once you've got that undeniable song, we enter Section 3, protecting your art. Welcome to the studio business. The studio is this amazing place where art collides with commerce. But man, it is also where creators make massive, sometimes fatal, legal blunders before a track is even finished. Take the split sheet, for example. That's the document that determines the ownership percentages of a song. Dirty has a massive warning for creators here. Never, ever let someone slide an iPad with a split sheet across the console while you're in a creative session. It completely ruins the sacred energy of the room. Make the song first, capture the magic, and then handle the business splits later when everyone's heads are clear. And when the dust settles and you do handle the business, you need to fully understand what you're actually selling. If someone offers to buy your publishing catalog, you aren't just handing over an MP3 file. You are surrendering 3 massive rights all at once: ownership, administrative control to make decisions, and the right to income. You're basically giving the whole shebang away in exchange for one single check. Which brings us naturally to Section 4, the business triangle and the high-stakes deal. Knowing your worth is absolutely essential. Let's look back at that $1 million case study from the beginning.
That initial label offer, it was 400 grand, but it locked the artist in for 3 long years and demanded they give up part of their masters. But by bringing in strategic legal representation, they didn't just bump that cash up to $1 million, they actually negotiated the exclusivity down to a single year. And most importantly, they retained 100% of their masters. They completely saved their most valuable asset.
How on earth did they pull that off? Well, they understood the best deal triangle. You see, money, control, and time are always in a constant tug of war during negotiations. If a label gives you way more money, they're almost certainly going to want more of your time or more control over your art. The ideal contract perfectly balances these 3 variables based on your current leverage. Because this artist knew they had organic momentum, they leveraged that to maximize the money, keep their control, and minimize the time commitment.
So listen closely. If you have a contract sitting on your table right now, you absolutely must hunt down and negotiate these 5 silent clauses before you even think about signing. Are you giving away your masters forever? Does a 1-year deal actually have 5 hidden options that secretly make it a 6-year deal? What happens if you get writer's block and don't deliver the minimum required tracks? Is your royalty rate fair, and how exactly does recoupment work? And finally, who actually has creative control over things like collaborations? Don't let these clauses silently destroy everything you've built.
All right, let's bring it all home with Section 5, Legal and Financial Structure. It's time to build the empire. To actually protect your wealth and build a lasting legacy, you've got to face the financial reality of assembling a team. And your first major player is usually a manager. A manager typically takes a 10 to 30% cut, usually hovering right around 20%, from all your income sources. And look, they earn this by running the daily grind, going to bat with a label, and basically shielding you so you can focus 100% on the art.
And as the money starts rolling in, you absolutely must wrap your head around this financial jargon. Your burn rate is simply the cash you're spending every single month, and your runway is how many months your business can actually survive on its current savings. Bad accounting habits and blowing cash on an excessive lifestyle will drastically shorten your runway. And when that happens, you're forced to sign desperate, terrible contracts just to keep the lights on.
To stay out of that danger zone, you literally have to treat yourself as a business. That means graduating from a legally vulnerable sole proprietor to a rock-solid, protected LLC. It's a process. First, you register with your Secretary of State. Then you grab your EIN from the IRS, register with the Department of Revenue, and get your local municipal permit sorted. This shields your personal assets and sets you up like the CEO you actually are.
Which leaves us with one final massive question. Are you building your music empire on sand or on solid rock? Having a massive hit song is incredible, but without the right plan, the right permissions, and the right structure, it can literally all wash away overnight. I challenge you to take these frameworks and apply them to secure your own legacy. Master your negotiations, build that solid rock foundation, and take total control of your career. Thanks for hanging out and learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.